All right, y'all. What's going on? It's your boy Izzy Bake Oven. What's up, y'all? So today it's a little different. All right. Now, yeah, I used to hear ads run through my stuff for other people. All right. This is probably the first real time the ad is for me. All right. So PSA, Prodigy Sport Advantage Stations, has expanded far beyond just the podcast. It is now a writing service. All right. And at that, a ghostwriting service. So we do it anonymously and take care of your needs. All right. Homework assistant, product and profile descriptions, grant writing, resumes, cover letters, templates, books, ghostwriter book too. Anything you can think of, articles, all that good stuff. PSA the Ghostwriter Solution can do it. So go over to PSA thepodcast.com and you can see all the services there with all their descriptions. Okay, because I know I missed some. And also you can reach out to me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com and we can take care of all of that for you too. Peace. What's going on, y'all? How y'all living? Everybody all right? It's another week, another episode. We're keeping them. I think next week for y'all, because all of them have been with guests, which is how it's supposed to be. But I think I'm gonna do another one by myself. I haven't decided fully yet. So if you see me with somebody, don't be surprised. But if you see me by myself, you've been prepared. So you see how I got that going like that? All right. So this week's episode is a good one. It's a little different because of the topic. Because there's a difference between, well, I ain't gonna get too much in it. So let me get into the meme first, and then you make and see what kind of where we going with it. This week's meme reads, I'm gonna log off and take care of my mental health and live in the moment. Also, me spends entire day on TikTok watching videos about people living in vans. All right. So this week's episode is centering around like not just social media, because when we think of like I'm saying the virtual world, we just think of social media and the toxicity behind it. And it can be toxic, and so can virtual reality. But we're getting into virtual reality today and decide making a choice behind that. And we're gonna get into that in a minute. Like I said, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Now let's get into this week's inspiration. So this week's inspiration is honestly partially inspired by my guest, but also partially inspired by See the Thing Is podcast with Mandy B and Bridget Kelly. And I'm going to get to that in a minute too. And then my other inspiration is just AI in general, artificial intelligence. It's taking over. What does this have to do with our mental health? Is this something we should be afraid of? Is it something we should embrace? I'm 50-50 because I'm gonna utilize it, but in the same breath, I don't want to. It's just a lot. We'll get into that. You think was it iRobot? Because them videos, not videos, but them be movies be telling y'all what's going on and what's about to happen. Got a malfunction, y'all. They don't never have. Got a little malfunction. Hold on. Let's fix that. So what happens when you do stuff live? You got to leave doors open for in case of mishaps happen. That was definitely a quick little mishap, okay? All right. Now, let's move into the good old segment, Happy Hour, all right? And as we know, this is my time to just kind of rant real quick. So first of all, first thing I want to speak on. I want to speak on See the Thing Is podcast, and I want to talk about how they had Music Soul Child on there. And first of all, Love by Music Soul Child come up on my iPhone. I don't know how often. It comes up pretty frequently, right? And I seen them on there, and it's good to hear people out, see where people come from, because as far as like where they been, all the good stuff. Because I ain't saying nothing about that man. I don't know how long. But he was on there, and he was talking about the difference between the world now and how it was, back in his time. Now he just feel like it's so much you can't do and that you can do, but he said on his end, it's more of what he feel like he can't do. And he says a lot of that has to do with like social media and all that stuff and how it played a role in the virtual world that we're going into. But I like how he talked about the difference between liking somebody. So instantly when you think of that, you're going to think of like, oh, I love you. That means it's better than like. Not really. Because him and Bridget Kelly and Mandy B, they was breaking it down how like, yeah, you love your mama, you love this person, but that don't mean you like them. And Shay was talking about like if I like somebody, that's maybe a little better than love because I don't even like people. Now I'm not an antisocial person, but I do feel like the world we live in now is easy to be that, and it's easy to just get caught up in the virtual world, the I almost said the digital world like Digimon, but like just that world, that layer of, you know, there's some sense of, I don't know how true this is. You know, we got the shows like The Circle, where those people are literally making connections in a house with people, or an apartment complex with people that they don't know, alliances that somebody could be faking it. You just never really know. I think that's interesting, and just interesting to see like where the world is going to go moving forward with all of this. That's what I'm interested to see. Now, something else I want to talk about. In the meme, I talked about how like you want to like take care of your mental health and not get too caught up in the virtual world, the virtual reality, all that good stuff, social media, all that stuff, right? But then in the same breath, you getting caught up on social media, in the virtual world, all that stuff. And it's kind of like funny a little bit to comment about the entire day on TikTok watching videos about people living in vans. Okay, that's a real thing. And I'm not going off experience. I've seen it. Like I literally got caught up in like a what's it called? Is it a wormhole? Ain't that what it's called? Or it's like a rabbit hole. There we go. And I got caught up in a rabbit hole, and I was just looking at people living in vans, and people really got, oh, this is how my day starts. They got living in a van with my toddler, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, as I was scrolling through, I noticed the same thing about all of them people. Now, I did see one African American lady with her toddler, but everybody else. And it's funny because, like, I don't know, my mind, like, don't get it twisted. From the outside looking in, it do look like it might be kind of fun. Like, if I did it for like a few days, like a week or something, but these people really live their life. And I mean, there's some perks to it. You know, they got the people who be like, oh, I can live on the ocean, you know, not on the ocean, but, you know, live on the ocean front, and I can live in anywhere I want to live, pack up and leave. But me, I always got that brain, like, what if like somebody come in, like what if you laying in the middle of the night, you resting, right? Somebody come and just start shaking your van. You know what I'm saying? Shaking you, trying to wake you up, they finna rob you because you got everything in there because you living in there. So you got your wallet, you got your phone, you got, you know, whatever information needed to get you. So they could really jack. What if they like opened you up, opened up the van, like shook you up, shook it. Imagine you laying in the bed like this, and somebody just come and shaking your van. You in there, I know you're gonna be terrified because you're gonna wonder if it's an earthquake. I feel like if you would think if somebody robbed you before it was an earthquake. So now you in that mug like this, they shaking your van, and now you just like, what do you do? What can you do? Nothing. You have to literally lay there till they open the door. You could try to call the police, but what's the likelihood of that? Then my thing is that somebody made a comment of, and this is why I say people nasty, but it shows you what you need to be watching where you be going, because it was one dude who was like, oh, a lot of people said that they was like, oh, I get a nationwide gym membership, and then they just take a shower in the gym. Okay, cool. I mean, I do that from time to time too. But they said if they can't get to a gym, they rinse off in the nearest body of water. And they was like, they typically go to the ocean and just kind of rinse off. I ain't feeling that. That's weird. Okay, I don't want to say that's weird. Like it's like, I mean, it is, but I'm saying it more so from the angle of like, I don't know. It's interesting to see. It's something, if you haven't looked into it on TikTok, look into it. Because you might learn something new, and I definitely learned something new. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff on TikTok you can get lost in, but we ain't gonna get into all that today. Now, as I told you, I do have a guest today, and somebody who I think this episode is gonna shed some light on a lot of different things. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna go. Is there anything else I want to say before I introduce them? No, that's really it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. All right, my boy, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. How you feeling?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Shed some light. Heard some stuff about the virtual world and state of mental health and social media and all that aspect. So here to talk about it.
All right. So obviously, like I said, my people can see you on the visual, but audio wise, tell the people what's your name, where you're from, and where you live now.
Right. So my name is Terrance Williams. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. And I am also from, I live right now in Orlando, Florida. And I currently, right now, I have a company called Meta Wellness, and we build virtual reality platforms for mental health professionals so they can hold their telehealth sessions, exposure therapy, all types of stuff in the metaverse for mental health. And we've been doing that for a few years now, and it's been going pretty well.
Okay, so you got some good stuff going on. All right, don't meet too many people who have that, so that's something new. Okay, the virtual world, real quick. So the virtual world has been around for a little while now. Where do you think that it's gonna go as far as? Do you think we've seen? Let me ask this: do you think we've only just scratched the surface, or do you think we're getting kind of to like a completion, kind of, if that makes sense?
Oh, so we haven't even started scratching the surface, honestly. The things that we're going to be able to do with VR and AR and AI and all this type of stuff in the next 50 years is going to be pretty progressively moving pretty fast, pretty much. On the mental health side, like right now, when we talk about virtual reality, if you think of like telehealth right now is through Zoom, or like we use a laptop to communicate with each other. But virtual reality is that next step, and the next step after that is going to be even more impressive. They're already talking about how in the next 50 years, it may be possible that AI and VR will just just AI in general, not even VR, will just completely just cause there'll be no more therapists, there'll be no more mental health professionals and everything because AI will be so advanced that it'll be able to fix your mental state for you. You know, if you're feeling depressed and type of stuff, they'll put you in simulations and understandings where it can fix these type of issues for you. And not even talking about that, just medicine in general. If you look at how medicine is already used for certain types of stuff, it's only a matter of time. You know, we think about Elon putting chips in people's heads. It's only going to be a matter of time before they're able to start be able to affect emotions and things of that nature. And that type of stuff is coming next year.
So. Yeah, about that. It's pretty wild, you know. I'm interested and terrified at the same time to see, because eventually, you know, you heard about it, but you knew we was coming. Like, you knew eventually teachers are going to be completely replaced. You know, they saying cops. I write on the side for people who need some help. But I remember doing some research one time and found out that they were trying to replace cops, and that they trying to replace basically not every, but most of these places. I'm sure grocery store workers will be replaced. I'm sure, you know, librarian, everything is going to pretty much be replaced. And that's crazy because we're literally seeing the door open. But like you said, I don't even think we've walked through it. I think they literally just starting to open.
Well, in California, they released a robot that has the authorization to kill, that type of stuff. And then they've already opened a McDonald's that doesn't have any employees in there. Amazon's opening stores where you can just literally, there'll be no workers there. You can just grab the cart. They'll just scan your Amazon, whatever, and you're just going to go. So like all this type of stuff is really already started. It's just going to really pick up a lot faster. People don't realize Atari and Nintendo and all this stuff, it wasn't that long ago. You know, I mean, if you think of it, maybe like 30 years ago, but and the span of just how fast technology has just increased is going to be incredible. I just saw the other day they released a whole metaverse virtual reality. Like if you think like paintball, but it's like a paintball arena, but it's actually just all developed for metaverse. And they have drinks, cocktails, they have all types of stuff. It's a real nice area. It's crazy, but that stuff is coming.
For sure, that's what's wild. Now, I always have a section for definitions. I only have one, but for this week. So when you hear the word virtual, what's the first thing that comes to
mind? When I think the word virtual, I think of an alternative experience of reality. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be what they're trying to do is make it as real as possible, and eventually they will get it to where it looks like Ready Player One or The Matrix or all this type of stuff. But yeah, this is gonna be an alternative to reality where a lot of people are gonna be doing a lot of different things, whether it's gaming, dating. Like I know couples that have met in the metaverse and that are literally married till this day. And I mean, it's like stuff like that you would think is unfathomable, but you know, There's even I even saw in LA they're opening up a strip club that just has robots dancing. Like the stuff that's coming is it's weird, but it's coming.
So I'm gonna quote get on that and say, let me go over the definition from definition. So .com. So it says virtual, the definition is almost or nearly as described, but not completely or according to a strict definition. So in that case, I think that based on what you have saying and what's been presented thus far, it's about the same. And the whole robot thing, the robot strippers, that's some Futurama stuff. Like literally,
Yeah, it is.
that's funny because I literally think about they were in a strip club. I'm sure on several episodes, but there's one in particular I remember on Futurama back in the day. And they was in there and they was like, the robots, their mouths didn't move, but it would just light up when they talked.
Yeah,
And
that was a great show.
they used to be saying stupid stuff like that, and they'd be pounding beer or something stupid. I don't know. It was wild. But
I was in a battle with Family Guy and Futurama when they both started coming out. I watched Futurama, but I was way more into Family Guy for sure.
But it's lame. But I felt like because they used to come on Cartoon Network like when we was years ago at the same time. I think they still do actually. I don't know.
I heard they came back.
Stopped for a long time, and I think they might have came back. But I remember vividly like feeling like Futurama was the appetizer for Family Guy because Family Guy was way more raunchier anyway. And I feel like it was like the appetizer.
I've never seen anything like Family Guy. It was like Simpsons on steroids. It was wild.
And then what's crazy is they only got worse.
Yeah. But back then, like the stuff they saying now, like it's way too soft of a society. Like the stuff they were saying now, like they said that to this day, and they still do kind of like dance on the lines, but they were way disrespectful back in the day. They didn't matter if you were fat, trans, gay. They were coming for everybody. They didn't care.
They didn't care, and now it's like I think they may, like you said, I'm gonna have to tap into some new episodes to see what I can see. But they definitely, I'll be seeing them on Hulu. I'm gonna have to check them out one day.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna probably do it soon. All right, so now let's move into what does this have to do with mental health? So now, while we're here, let me ask you: can you share with us the decision-making process behind finding or being the founder of Meta Wellness, and then how you identify the need for virtual reality stimulations in the mental health profession?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it was like maybe 4 years ago, my friend was telling me about the metaverse, telling me how you can learn to code and build virtual reality platforms and all this stuff. And the way he sold me, he just basically sold me, and I was like, all right, I'm a believer. So I went in there, bought a pair of Oculus goggles, went in there, was like, holy crap. I looked up, there were birds flying. It was just like an unreal experience I never experienced before. So I was like, I want to get in this now before, this really blows up. So I just started learning how to code, how to build and stuff in there. And then over time, mental health professionals just started reaching out saying, hey, could you build me this? Could you build me that? Because I was already building like homes in there, event parties, like conference centers, like all types of stuff for people. But I just started getting more requests on the mental health side. And what I've come to learn is mental health is so, especially on the med side, it's really overlooked. If you look in the United States, the number one cause of death for men under age 44 is homicide. And the second cause of death is suicide. So we're either killing each other or we're killing ourselves.
Yeah.
And, we look at other countries in the West, like the UK, where the number one cause of death is suicide. It's a lot of men's mental health that is just really, being overlooked in society. So, I just wanted to get out there and build these things where men can have a place of healing and stuff. So I built platforms where men can come and have a community center, or like for teenagers, for example, I built a community center for kids that had suffered from gun violence or traumatic gang violence, and I have a community center where they can come play basketball, play whack-a-mole, do all types of stuff. It's just a really think of like the Boys and Girls Club, but just in a virtual way. And then also we built like types of stuff where it's like for group settings, like Alcohol Anonymous, where people are coming in these digital spaces being really, really open. So yeah, life as a man is hard. And doing all this has really taught me that. And, the effects of it in the West is growing a lot, and, many more platforms and availability to be able to express themselves. So.
Well, yeah, that was definitely, like I said, it was a long, short story. But I think that it's funny how God used people to do the same stuff in different ways, and how the ultimate goal, me and you, two different goals, but to just open up the door for mental health as far as, regular people just having these conversations and making it to where everyone, not everyone, but the goal is to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, speaking on these things and having these conversations. Like I tell people all the time, I'm not a professional, and I'm just a person who goes get the professionals and other people who want to have the conversation, and just so we can kind of we all in this together, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it should be.
So then you wanted to help with mental health. So how do mental health professionals, how do they view what you're doing?
So a lot of the older crowd doesn't get it. Like people in like their like 50s, 60s, they don't get it. They're cool. They don't even like doing Zoom. They rather people come face to face and talk to them. Younger generations, these therapists, they typically love the concept. And what I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to take over Zoom. This is just an alternative from having Zoom services. And just the technology within the headsets are going to grow, and it's going to be able to expand the doors for therapists, etc. For example, they're creating the technology within the headsets to where if you're in China and you only speak Chinese, and I'm in New York and I only speak English, you'll still understand me if though I was speaking to you in Chinese and I speak in English. So just the language barrier is going to be able to be broken, and therapists will be able to have a bigger clientele of people who they can affect in the long term as well. So yeah.
Okay. And even before, so it was just up until recently you really started getting into like the metaverse and stuff. Like as a kid, anything was you into like the virtual RuneScape, MySpace days? Was you in all that?
MySpace, yeah, man. Top 10. I had Tom on me, bro. Like, yeah, for sure. I was always like a big into tech. Like I have a digital marketing company that I started 5 years ago. I still own that today as well. Really big into the social media aspect of like I had MySpace. I didn't have what was it? What's that black community? What was the other one?
Bebo?
Nah, it was a black one before MySpace.
Black Planet?
Was it Black Planet? I think it was Black Planet. Or something like that. I didn't have that, but there was something like that was outrunning, but I didn't have that. But yeah, MySpace, and I still use a whole bunch of the stuff today. So I've always been into tech, and always had like my actual like business license under a technology company. So I've always just loved what technology could do and what it's going to do.
For sure. All right, so I got some statistics real quick. It says that mental health and virtual reality, it says a study conducted by the University of California, Los Angeles found that virtual reality exposure therapy can be effective for treating anxiety disorders, including PTSD and social anxiety disorder. The study reported that 80% of participants who received virtual reality exposure therapy showed significant improvement in their symptoms. So, y'all, we got some statistics. This is news to me. Is this news to you?
No, it is not. When the longer you start, you being in the company, have my company for 2 years, you start just learning different things about stuff. And because I'm not a mental health professional, so coming in, I was just building this stuff out for them. But over time, you're going to learn. So like if you don't know anything about ice cream, but your friends, they love ice cream. One works for an ice cream parlor. They see eventually you're going to learn something about ice cream. You know what I mean? So kind of just how it is. I just in the field just started learning a whole bunch of different stuff. But so when it comes to exposure therapy, that's probably the main way people have been using virtual reality. We've created platforms to where people have claustrophobia and they go into an elevator and the elevator doors close on them. The wall starts shaking. The wall starts shrinking in on them and it starts getting loud. So it helps them be able to, conquer their fear on the exposure side of that and conquer that fear. We've done stuff where people are afraid of heights, build them in a plane, make it actually feel like they're flying in a plane, stuff like that. We've done stuff, all different types of stuff, even with anorexia, things like that. We've created platforms where they can go in and actually learn how to eat food again. So we've been doing a lot of really, really basic stuff. And a lot of these ideas, they come from therapists, but they also just come from like parents. I've had even a concerned mom hit me up the other day saying that she needs a platform to help her son that's suffering from a disorder. So people all over are seeing the effects, I believe. I think overall it'll grow as time goes on too.
No, that's good. Like I said, it's funny. Like I said, all this stuff is new, so it's just crazy because this is new and this 2023. By 2033, where is this going to be? Then 2043, it's just going to keep advancing and leveling up.
Yeah.
And so you named a few things, and then my next note talks about how VR exposure therapy for PTSD. It says a study published in the Journal of Lancet Psychiatry found that VR exposure therapy was effective as traditional exposure therapy for treating PTSD in military veterans. The study reported that 52% of participants who received VR exposure therapy no longer met the diagnostic criteria for PTSD, compared to 41% of those who had received traditional therapy. And then it also talks about VR for pain management. This is crazy. A study published a study published in the Journal of Pain found that the VR distraction was an effective tool for reducing pain in patients with chronic pain. The study reported that participants who received VR distraction reported significantly less pain intensity and less emotional distress during a painful procedure compared to those who did not receive the intervention. It is also said it treats phobias and anxiety. All right, so introduce it in a weird way, the information, introduce what he just said, and then lay it out of it too. But it's just crazy because they have a lot of times they say with pain in general, a lot of times they say it's phantom pain, especially so it's all in your head anyway, some cases. But it's wild. It's wild. So my mind is blown. I'm trying to hide it low key. But like when you first found out this information, was your mind like
I was mind blown the first day I just stepped into VR in general, and then yeah, like I get really just excited and just mind blown when these people just come with these amazing ideas. And like PTSD for one is one that we get a lot of with veterans who suffer from post traumatic stress, and um, the VA loves it. It's one of the big in metaverse, the whole virtual stuff. VA actually loves it because the veterans, like you said, 52%, they're seeing the actual because the whole point is it helps you control your fear, right? Like if I can recreate your fear or recreate something that's holding you back, and over time you can progress and learn how to adapt and grow from it, you're going to get better over time, especially mentally, right? So
yeah, for sure. And I loved it. Like I didn't even plan on that this episode, but again, when it comes to always with decision making, and maybe for some people who say they may need to try the VR way, people conquer fears and need some high percentages. So I'm not even the big numbers person, but these percentages pretty high, so that means it's working.
yeah.
Um, So now, how do you believe that virtual reality can revolutionize the mental health industry, and particularly in terms of like diagnosis and treatments? We kind of talked about treatment, but more so diagnosis.
Well, that's a good question because I think AI is going to probably play a way bigger part in that. Um, I think just on the exposure side and just more articles of research that keep coming out and we keep using it more, that will keep coming up as well. So that will be able to, find evidence of that. But yeah, I think the biggest part of what AI is going to be able to do is going to be able to quickly diagnose people and quickly treat them within like a matter of seconds, if even that. And that's where I think eventually it will go to. But I think that's going to be on the physical side as well. People don't realize AI is going to be it's either going to be a very good thing or a very very bad thing. So I'm really interested to see how it's going to go. Elon was talking the other day, and he was saying it's not the fact that AI is either good or bad. It's just that if there's an anthill and you need to build a bridge, you're just going to do whatever you got to do to get through that anthill to build a bridge. You don't even think about the ant. And the AI is going to be the same way. If it has an objective, it's just going to move toward that objective. It doesn't matter if human life is in the way or etc. So yeah, it's gonna play its part for sure.
Now, as a mental health advocate, how do you think men's decision making is impacted by like societal expectations and other pressures? And then like, what do you think we can do to like address this? Like, what do you think? Now, obviously, I know VR in some way will be a part of it, but what do you think we could do as of now?
So one of the biggest things that I see wrong, especially with therapy, and why men probably don't go to therapy, I think it's two reasons why. But one reason is I believe that men therapy is treated like it's women therapy. Men in therapy are treated with love and accepted and want to be accepted. But what men really truly will need to be is powerful and respected. If you give a man a purpose and a direction and a view of how to get there, there's nothing that man won't go through to get to that. He'll walk through a burning building, he'll step on glass with a smile, he'll go through those things because men we're built to suffer. That's just how God created us. We're created to suffer. But if you give us a purpose, we'll deal with that suffering. And I think just in mental health in general, it's a lot of lacking that's going on as well. So
I like that you said that it's a different way to look at it. When you said that men were built to suffer, I definitely think there are a lot of areas that we're going to go through a hard. That's just how it is.
right,
And it's interesting just to see, like, we really don't have it hard in a lot of areas compared to like the men, the generation before us. That's what's
right,
crazy.
yeah.
And I don't know.
And in different ways, we have it harder in different ways in general, especially like with dating, right? Because the dating market, social media has just decimated the average man's chances of getting like a good traditional woman nowadays. It's just full of hot girls, and it's hard for a lot of those men to even get noticed by them because they're all getting DM'd by the guys with the blue check marks or the guys with status, etc., and they're choosing them. But there's a lot of guys that are generally lonely. Like I know men that are genuinely lonely out here and couldn't, the girls that he does have, he doesn't even want, but he's with her out of necessity. And there's a lot of guys that are doing that, and it's traumatizing because the second part of why I think men go to therapy is I think women were our therapy. We needed our women to be our healing factor. When we were down and we were out and we didn't have any energy left, it was our women that gave us our energy. And that's what they had back in the day. The traditional woman was at home back in the day. And when that man dealt with his suffering, he's dealing with the BS at his job, dealing with the BS from his peers, his family, whatever he's going through, his woman, just her brightness and her positive attitude and energy healed him. But men don't have that nowadays. Men are more single now than ever. Women are more single now than ever.
So with that now, because you done led into a conversation I didn't even think I was gonna have today, but I'm glad you did that. What do you think about these these fake check marks? What the
Man, I think it's not for me. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that.
me
Now,
either.
if you're trying to promote a brand and you're generally trying to promote the brand, there are advantages for it. But I think it's not. It's just not for me. And I think as a brand for Facebook and Instagram, it's kind of just took away from the validity from it. Like when you had a blue check, that person earned it. You know what I mean? Now it's just like anybody can get it. So what comes easy is not valued. So now that it's easy, it's not gonna be valued anymore.
My logic is I won't mind when it come. I don't want to force it because
Right.
it's gonna feel better. I don't even know, like, when you get one, do you, like, I almost said audition, but do you like send them, do reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? I don't even know. I don't want to know until it's time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I think they either reach out to you or there is like a verification process. But I know people
yeah.
that have been like waiting to get verified for years, and now you just pay $15 to get it. Like, no, I'm good. I don't want that.
No, like if I was on some funny, what, I am a troll, but if I was on some like real troll and stuff, I'd do it on some funny stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I only respond like on some stupid funny stuff. Like, oh, I only respond if you got a check by your name. Like,
Well, that it's gonna help the average man. See, you can have a blue check mark, so when he slides in DMs, the girls are gonna see his DMs first now. So I mean, that's just
but how you think they're looking? You got 200 followers and you follow them
oh, yeah, they're
6,000
gonna go.
people.
Well, you can buy followers too now.
Well, you could been do that, but I always thought that was lame.
I'm not mad if men are using blue check marks to get girls. I'm not mad because look, women use makeup to get guys. So hey, it's all fair game.
And girls say that hats is wigs for dudes.
Come on, man. We can't have nothing, man. All we
Listen,
do is get a shape up.
look, I hear that they said that hats. Some girls say they wigs for dudes. Some say that they're makeup for dudes. I will admit, sometimes people be looking totally different. Even me, like, I look the same, but like when I put on a hat, it do is like give a different look. I ain't gonna lie.
I feel like it depends on the person's head. It also depends on like if that person is bald or something. I mean, they're trying to. I don't know. I've never been a hat guy, so I can't really. I can't vouch for it. But I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
even if who cares? They still got makeup, eyelashes. They can get bigger bras. They can get their boobs done, their butt done. Like, come on, let us at least have a hat. I'm sorry.
now, all right. So let's move it to the other segment. I challenge that. And y'all been liking this segment, I've noticed, because I'm basically going against the grain. And so now, before I go against the grain, let me ask you this. So, as a mental health advocate, once again, what do you think are some of the most pressing issues facing men's mental health today? Now, honestly, low key, you kind of named a handful of things.
Yeah.
So let's go recap for those that wasn't paying attention. We talked about, obviously, men changing up what they used to go to as they peace.
Yeah.
Um,
got yeah, men. The fact that men in therapy, they get treated as if they're women in therapies, because most therapy is dominated by women. 70% of therapists are women. So when they're going in there, they're treating these men as if how they would treat a woman naturally. And like I said before, women want to feel loved and accepted, but men want to feel respected and and feel powerful. That's just the nature of how we are, and that doesn't happen with therapy. So it kind of shoves away because it doesn't feel like we're getting anything out of it. And then we go home, we don't even have a woman at home to heal us, so we're double messed up. You know what I mean? So
That's interesting. Then the whole fact of, we talked about the whole blue check thing. We talked about how, like, it's everybody, people are more single
yeah,
than they've ever been.
yeah,
And because we live up in a hookup culture. And like I said, we've been doing the whole DM and inboxing thing for at least 15 years now. And now it's gonna go past that. And
yeah.
I think of, what's that show that come on Netflix? Black Mirror.
Black
That's the
Mirror. Oh
name?
yeah.
And it was something where they had the virtual reality and the people met in the game and that they was dating in the game, never seen each.
I know people like that. That's why, for real. I know people like that.
So now, with that leading to my next question, I'm sure this is kind of like, we could be here all day, but in short, and maybe you can give a brief scenario.
Yeah.
Do you think there are any negatives that come with virtual reality?
Well, yeah. For one, what can happen. Well, what may happen, especially for a lot of people, is that they're gonna, forget the fact that there is actual real life reality out there. I feel like the more that VR expands, the more people will spend time there. So the more people are spending time virtually, they'll be naturally spending less time in reality. Like Apple's getting ready to drop their headsets, and everything app people use from Apple, like everything Apple has, people use. I don't know anything that Apple has made that people don't use to this day. They still will use iPads, they still use laptops, etc. When they drop their headsets, it's going to be a game changer too.
For
So
sure, a route.
yeah, and then Microsoft is already saying they want to put all their teams and meetings in the metaverse and virtual. So a lot of this stuff is going to be coming up a lot faster. So it's going to be really interesting.
It's funny because all this happened because of COVID. Really, that's what really ushered it all in. But now, are you into gaming at all?
Call of Duty mainly.
Okay, now what happens when they make a VR version of that?
That's what I'm saying. They actually have a place now. They built a facility, and the whole facility is in VR, and it's like a Call of Duty theme. And it looks really really dope. Like you get in there, you get like a gun, you get the headsets, but the facility is like maybe twice the size. I don't know, maybe like the size of like a basketball court. So you have
Mhm.
that whole facility to move around in VR. And like I said, they have a whole bar. They have food you can order and sit down and stuff. So they're creating these facilities already, and um, they actually already have games in like that you can play right now in the Oculus that look like Fortnite, and it plays very well, just like it. So it's coming a lot faster than people think, for sure.
And that's the crazy thing too, because I think about like how, for those that don't know, they've been having VR games for PlayStation and I think Xbox. I know PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation guy, and with me, I'm in and out with games. I really don't be having time, but I be buying like my favorites, like from when I was a kid, when they do the remakes or when
Mhm.
they, add a sequel and threequels, all this crap. But they do have a VR for a game, Resident Evil, and they have the headset and you can play the game and it's like you're in the game. First of all, if the game is scary like this, could you only imagine how it's gonna be if you put on the VR system? Like seriously, like you'll be
Yeah, it's
jumping.
gonna be some. Yeah, it's gonna be some hospital visits for some people for sure. Especially when you get into like the horror stuff. Like it's gonna be crazy. I'm not doing none of that.
Yeah,
Nope.
no, I don't think I could do. I could barely do it with the controller. I don't think I can do it VR. I do want to try it just as an experience,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't spend my money on it because I'm not going. Now I did hear my friends, they have the VR and they do the boxing. They was like, we in this hole fully sweating. I said, I bet you fighting for your life.
No, I'll be seeing videos people doing boxing and accidentally punching a kid in the face and stuff. So you gotta be worried with surroundings for sure.
So this is a simple question, and I think I know the answer just thus far. Where how we've been, the conversation has been going, because we talking about therapy, we talking about people, meeting the loves of their lives. So I'm really not even gonna ask. I'm more gonna go state it to the people that the way it's going, you will be able to get compassion and through virtual reality. And honestly, it may even help the forgiveness process with people. Like You know, it's funny because he talked about earlier, which I didn't plan on when he talked about conquering fears, right?
Mhm.
People are using VR to conquer fears. So now why couldn't it be used to help you in the forgiveness process? Again, we don't talk about forgiving people because they deserve it. It's for you.
Yeah,
And unforgiveness be having a chokehold on people. And it's just like to think, what if you could, they could, I'm thinking in my head, I'm a little off, but like somebody creating a scenario of the person who you had an issue with. Say you don't want to see them, or you'll never see them again. Whether you just can't get in contact with them, or they dead, because you know some people hold grudges with people that have died,
yeah,
and like creating a virtual reality of scenario of y'all going through talking whatever situation out,
yeah.
and then like to me that's crazy.
Yeah, you're tying in like that horror side and then that virtual side, and then mix it together with the love, perfection. I see what you're doing. Yeah, that would be tough. Because I can see what you're saying by that, because I think it would definitely help people, especially people that are struggling with like a loss of a loved one, and they can't get over
Mhm.
it and that type of stuff. Healing and simulation. I think that's how AI is going to play an effect too. Like you could probably have to tell AI to like act out and just pretend to be somebody forever, and they can do that, right? Like
And
it's
see,
gonna be
and
wild.
see, I'm a writer, so like when I be using Chat GPT, it be helping with ideas, and like like say my mind like kind of stuck, or it is kind of like it get me going. But like
Yeah,
if you really if you say you're trying to describe something, right, and you get super, and I'm a writer, so I get super descriptive, and you say, for instance, create a scenario, what happened, and what it could be scary because if it do the whole loved one thing, you gaslighting yourself because like this person is dead. Remember that,
right, right.
like
Yeah, yeah.
hey, look,
But I mean, we live in a society now that wants fantasies, and people can pretend to be wolves, people can pretend to be a lawnmower and self-identify for whatever they want. So I mean, hey, if you feel like that's the real person, like nobody's to stop you from reality anymore. So it's
moving
like the
on.
whole definition of reality is going to change. Like, what is reality?
You know what? The whole definition of reality is going to change because they changing definitions of everything else.
Yeah.
So, okay, now let's get to this the bad one. It says escapism and addiction.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of this generation is addicted to enough. We don't need nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It, it says a study published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology found that VR can be a form of escapism, which can lead to addiction and other negatives on impacts on mental health. The study reported 13.5% of participants who reported symptoms of VR addiction, and the VR addiction was associated with the negative impacts on mental health, including anxiety, depression, and social isolation. And that's why I kind of preface with that comment of don't gaslight yourself trying to recreate, I just want to see my grandma one more time, and
Right.
then you say, let me one more time, one more time, and then you get that reality she's not here.
Yeah.
It's been the movies about that. Like I want to say, I think of Smart House on Disney Channel back in the day, and that was
It was
99.
wild. You took it back.
That was 99. And it was funny because you used to think like, oh, these movies, they just move these movies movie, and no, they trying to tell you what they got
They've
planned.
been telling us what's gonna happen, man. Yeah.
Y'all wasn't listening.
Listen, man, they're already thinking they can make us immortal in the next like 20 years. Like they're already talking about curing all types of like it's all right. I'm trying to tell people. I feel like that mad scientist when he's trying to tell everybody the world's gonna end and nobody's listening to him. Like, I'm telling y'all what's gonna happen.
What's gonna happen is it's gonna come off as the false peace, and it's like, oh yeah, we got all these things, and then it's gonna be like iRobot.
It's
Next
attention
thing,
span though, right? Like our attention span from 1930s to now is different. Like they say a goldfish has more of attention span than we do now, and it's only going to keep worse. Like the whole point of technology is to make people lazier, to make you as lazy as possible. Think about it. Like Uber Eats, you don't feel like going to McDonald's to get your thing. I'm just gonna Uber Eats it to me. You know what I mean? Like boom. All this is a way to make us just lazier, and you know that's going to be the negative side of what's going to happen with VR. Like, what's going to happen when people are just too lazy to really just go outside and enjoy the warm air and the warm breeze? They're going to rather just get a alternative virtual version on their headsets. That's when it's really going to get scary.
everybody gonna be locked down, and then here's a plot twist: they're gonna be locked down by choice, not because they're forced.
Right. Yeah. See, I can go into that too because it's that's just really true because and the thing is, there was a book about this that people had these type of headsets on, but nobody really could tell the difference of what was real and what was fake. And the outcome was that people just decided to stay virtual, and the people in virtual thought they were, in real life, i.e., the Matrix. So,
So now, what do you think ultimately? We'll say alike and indifferent. What do you think is like both the fact that virtual reality and social media are digital technologies, right?
right.
So, what can you say is how they are alike, but then in the same breath, how are they different?
Well, I think that social media is a lot like virtual reality for the standpoint, like the virtual reality that is here now is a lot of group community type of building. When you think about Facebook Horizon Worlds, that is a group stuff. Decentraland, Discord, all this type of stuff is going virtual and you put people from a social standpoint of looking at a screen to really just putting people into a virtual standpoint. But you still have that togetherness. Like if you have group chats or whatever conversations on social media, you'll be able to see those same things. And a lot of the things that we use our phones for is going to be already virtually too. Like you can watch a whole basketball game, feel like you're feeling courtside, and watch it in the metaverse virtual reality, and really feel like you're courtside too. You can also watch that from your phone or social media clips as well. So it just dibble dabbles and takes a lot of stuff from it. But I think the main thing that makes it really the same or really similar is the fact that people are just disconnected from just reality itself. If you're on a phone, whether you're on a phone or a laptop, you're still disconnected to the real world. And virtual reality is just another side of that.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right, now so let's move into the weekly sabbatical, and we just finna kind of reflect real quick. All right. So now, this is funny, but it's just like imagine if you had using the VR and you like went back in time and to go like, which I'm sure that'll happen. I think of dang, this is the gaming episode. I think of Assassin's Creed. I didn't play all of those, but I remember playing the first one, and it was like a simulation, and he was going back in time, and it
Yeah.
was a legit simulation. And like, what if you like went back and like lived through like a point in history,
Oh yeah, that's
or
what
like
Facebook's working on right now. Facebook's
be,
working on to where you can like type in Willie Mammoths and you'll like be transported into a time where Willie Mammoths are literally walking by you. You can type in Rome, you can see Julius Caesar speaking and all that type of stuff. So yeah, they're developing that as well, and that's gonna be pretty cool, especially on the education side. Because if I'm at a university and I want to learn about Harriet Tubman, if I get to actually see different things played out virtually, I'll be able to get a really closer feel and connection. And when I write about her, I'm going to be like, be really way more interested and connected when I write about her. So
I will say you might not say that because your skin, you got this skin. It might be it'll be a glitch that day. Now you
I was
stuck
in the
there.
field. My ancestors were in the field. I already know.
Yeah, you'd be I would say go back and go through a Bible story or something like that. That'll be nuts.
Now, I hope. Well, then that's the scary part too, because what if they create the simulation and it's different than what actually happened? You know what I mean? You can kind of control the narrative, what people believe. What they already do that in school systems already. They're already taking out the critical race theory and everything. So, you're able to display these virtual reality settings, and 50 years from now, they're gonna have Beyonce looking white. I mean, you never know. You never know.
Now, so what can you now since we kind of talking about us right now? So can you tell the people discuss some of the key decision making skills that you've developed as a leader, both in the mental health field that you've been helping out with, and then the virtual reality industry?
Yeah. So with both, I've learned a lot of similar things, which is consistency is key.
Hmm.
The more you consistently work on something, whether you're putting in 1% at it a day, you have to gradually get better. It's just the natural law of things. If you constantly work on something every single day, you have to get better at it. And that's what I did virtually. That's how I learned how to code and build in this stuff. I mean? I didn't go to school for coding. I really suck at math, but I dedicated 3 hours a day to actually learn the craft and build from there. And then, with everything on both sides, it's going to come failure. There's going to come failure on the virtual side. Me learning different things and growing and stuff like that. And there's going to be failures just on my everyday life. And in anything that you do, you just have to learn from it. I've lost that love, I've lost that business, I've lost jobs, I lost friends, but I've always learned something. And I think a lot of times people are afraid of failure, but failure can just be just as beautiful as success if you look at it that way. Because the beautiful thing about failure, and I can even argue that failure is more important than success, because when it comes with failure, every time you fail, you've learned something. You don't learn anything after you succeeded. You've already won. The,
Right.
the success is just all the amounts of failures that add up to get that win. But the lessons that you learn are way more important than the actual W. So, all these things will just teach you that over time. So, whether it's virtually, digitally, no matter what aspect of your life.
For sure. So now you kind of led into my next question, which is interesting because I said the next question asks, can you share any success stories from this whole meta wellness thing and anything that was noticeable too, but
Yeah,
notable and noticeable. How about that?
yeah. So I got an email about a month ago. It was a lady who the email title was "Help me help save my son," which I
Okay.
was like, wow, okay. So I opened it up and she was telling me how her son was doing with anorexia and how he can't eat. He doesn't know how to eat when it comes to him picking up. It just every time he tries to pick up, he just throws up. He just can't do anything, and they have to feed him through a tube. So she
Mm-hmm.
asked me, could I build a virtual reality setting to where it looks like her kitchen, and she has actual food in there, and in there he can pick up the food, and as he goes to bite it, the food starts to disappear as if he's actually chewing it. And I said, absolutely. So we built that, redesigned her kitchen, had burgers, pizza, all that type of stuff in there, and then her son was using it, and literally last week she hit me up and said she's seen that he's doing a lot better. He's able to actually eat a little bit more food now, and she's seen the effects. And she thanked me for it, and stuff like that really gets me excited because it's all about really making real change and really impacting people's lives.
Definitely. And like I said, we talked about a lot of scary stuff, but we talked about a lot of good stuff with that too. And it's definitely going to be a lot of good if used correctly. But it's like with anything, it's like money, right? Money is not evil, but it's the person who's using the money, what you're doing with it. Same with the VR. VR is not necessarily evil. However, it's what you're doing with it. So
Yeah,
stuff like that, you could have saved that boy life. You know what I'm saying? You didn't took some stress off that lady and her
right, right.
family.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Try to put in the world, much positive and hope that we get positive back. Sometimes you get negative, and that's just like a part of life. But even again, if you're getting negative stuff thrown at you, there's still a lesson learned from it as well. I heard it the other day too. There was said if it's raining, there's a rainbow, and if it's dark, look for the stars because no matter what your situation is, there's a rainbow at the end of the rain, and there's as dark it is, you can always find a star if you look hard enough. So
for sure. All right, so now for y'all, we didn't talk about. We always give y'all some tips and things that y'all can utilize to help you with this whole VR world. Because ultimately, you can try to fight it, but I've learned, and he's in kind of shed more light on it. It's gonna happen whether you want it to or not. So here are several strategies from reputable sources that can showcase how to utilize VR for mental health. All right. So the first one is exposure therapy. We kind of talked about it earlier, but this has been shown to be effective in treating disorders and it exposed the individual to feared stimulus and controlled virtual environments, kind of what we were talking about earlier, allowing them to gradually desensitize to the stimulus over time. So we always talk about desensitization is a bad thing. In that case, it's a good thing because it's like he said with the claustrophobia thing earlier, it's putting you in the face of the belly of the beast, and now you know what you're gonna do. Relaxation and mindfulness, virtual reality relaxation and experiences can provide a safe and immersive environment for individuals to learn and practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing and visualization. These experiences can be particularly helpful for individuals who struggle with traditional relaxation techniques or who are unable to access in person relaxation services. And then the other one, I like this one. Now, this is interesting because it is VR. Social skills training. It says virtual reality social skills training can provide individuals with the opportunity to practice social interaction in a safe and controlled environment. And it says this type of training can be particularly helpful for individuals with social anxiety or autism spectrum disorders. And yeah, that's good stuff because a lot of people
yeah,
really struggle, and social media has made that, even more, a thing. I had a friend, people used to always say, oh, he's so funny online, he's so cool online. Then they met him in person. He was like, he was so quiet. I said,
Yeah, yeah. Social media is a catfish for sure.
the whole
Yeah,
thing.
guys and women.
And
Catfish.
the last one, like I said, which again can be a little iffy, but exposure to positive experiences. It says virtual reality can be used to provide exposure to positive experiences such as nature or positive social interactions, as we mentioned earlier, and this can promote positive emotions and improve mental health. So some things, like I said, some things that come with it. Again, I'm not gonna sit here and say you should be fearful of anything because you see VR is helping people conquer fears, but more so when I was mentioning the jokes about the iRobot and all that good stuff, it's just more so to be aware and just to semi be prepared, but utilize the good sides that do come with it as well. So
Right.
now, lastly, before we move to the final segment, what advice could you give to individuals who want to make better decisions, especially for their mental health, and like they want to better themselves in any way possible in this age of social media, VR, and online platforms?
Well, I think the first thing that everyone should know, especially men and specifically, is that
Yeah.
you're in control of your own narrative. You have the opportunity to create and become your own superhero. If you want to be, the best banker, the best fighter or whatever, you can really go through the struggle and really take those steps and do it. It really just comes down to, are you willing to? And I tell people all the time, like, I don't I don't feel sorry when people make bad excuses for themselves. At the end of the day, it was your decision. And as a man, you have to be capable and make great decisions because that's what makes a man a man. You have to lead. So if you're going through certain things and you need an outlet, I'm telling you, seek therapy, seek whatever help you have. But to sit at home and just blame the world for your problems, the world doesn't care about your problems. And unfortunately, that's the harsh reality of it. So the best thing you can do is take care of yourself and put yourself, your mental health, your physical health in order. And, I talk to a lot of people that have dealt with certain things like depression, and I always tell them, for me, I don't believe depression exists because if you change the thing about depression is it's always situational. If somebody is fat and overweight, they're depressed. Typically, if they lose that weight, magically their depression will leave. So a lot of the things that we go through can be fixed with ourselves. We just got to be able to, be real with ourselves and be honest and saying, hey, this is where I'm lacking. This is where I'm weak at, and get stronger at it. What's the alternatives? What, just sit around and just mope? There's so many things that's going on in the world. There's people being bombed in Syria. There's people that are literally going through so much struggle, and we're gonna, I'm not gonna feel sorry that you feel fat and nobody wants to hear about your problems. There's real life things going on. There's people waking up every day not knowing where they're gonna eat. They're seeing planes fly over them. They're seeing loved ones dead in the street, and you're crying because you're fat or your girl left you. Come on, man.
Oh Lord. They gonna be throwing the daggers. Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Look, I just like to prep people. I don't
Yeah.
like people being, ambush. But to top end that off with what he was saying, it's just you have to. I want to see how I want to end this off, in that segment off at least.
I'm just saying.
No,
You
no, everybody, in so many words, and like I said, there are ways in most cases to overcome everything you're going through. And he said it the tough love way. I'm gonna be real with y'all. We do that here, so a lot of y'all need that. But for those who maybe can't take that, for those of us that can't take that, I would say in the nice way. He's basically saying like, they're bright. Don't get too caught up in the present of what's going on. And although with the VR stuff, a lot of times that definitely trying to tie it all together. A lot of times that's easy to do. You know what I'm saying? Getting lost in the moment. But what you have to understand is there is another side of the rainbow, and whatever you going through, whatever it is you struggling with, whatever it is that you, like I said, like he said, you may say, oh, I feel fat today. You have to put that anger, that stress, whatever it is you feeling, whatever it is, and turn it into something positive. So in the case we on the fat thing, so you feel fat or you think you look ugly, there's so much you can do to change that. Whether it is lose weight, whether it is change up how you dress, because I'm telling you now, and this might be a little mean, but the ugliest people had the most confidence. So if they got the confidence and you look great and you just feel ugly, it's some things you got to get worked out. Therapy, like he mentioned, which that's the thing that helps people out with that stuff. It's so many ways to go about it. You know what I mean? But
The thing is,
don't get,
you have
huh?
you have options to fix your situation, and there's people in the world that literally don't have any options. So I think what a lot of times what people do is they look at what they don't have and not really realize what they do have. And we focus on the things that we do have, and really just appreciate it. Well, we'll realize that a lot of things that we go through aren't that deep.
And like he said, it's something you can do because you might look like a foot, but damn it, you can dress. Or you can
Exactly.
put on some stuff. They put that on that they ain't never seen how you put that on. But hey,
Exactly. And I
and like
especially
I
say men, yeah, because men have the opportunity. They can, they can build their wealth, their status. They can get into the gym. If you're short, if you're 5'3", it's not an excuse. You can still get into the gym. You can still learn game. You can still learn what type of cologne to have. You can still have a successful business. You can still be a winner. That's all I'm saying.
And you have to also understand two people that's whatever you have, somebody loves that.
For
So
sure.
keep that in mind too.
Be
Just
confident, for sure.
right. And it's a process. It won't happen overnight, but it is definitely doable.
Yeah.
Trust me. This coming trust me. All right, y'all. So let's move into the final segment, game time. And this game is called reality or virtual reality. So I'm gonna name several scenarios, and I want my boy Terrance here to tell me whether or not this is reality or this is virtual reality. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, your company is creating a simulation to help people overcome the fear of flying. Is this reality or virtual reality?
Virtual reality.
Your company is developing a simulation to help people learn how to play a musical instrument. Is this reality or virtual reality?
Ooh, reality.
Okay.
I'm talking about for right now. I'm just going speaking on
Yeah,
right
yeah, 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 yeah. Your company is creating a simulation to help people prepare for job interviews. Is this reality or virtual reality?
now. Reality.
Your company is developing a simulation to help people learn a new language. Is this reality or virtual reality?
Reality. Rosetta Stone all
For
day.
sure, they didn't have Rosetta Stones, so we probably before we was born,
Rosetta
didn't.
Stone, yeah, for sure.
Whatever happened to Hooked on Phonics?
Was Hooked on Phonics for language too?
No,
Or
but
like,
I'm just thinking about it. I just randomly thought about Hooked on Phonics because they need to bring
yeah,
it back.
yeah, I remember that was a joke back in the day. If you were on Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah, they all the joke because COVID did mess these kids up. It's so sad to see.
Yeah.
All right. Your company is creating a simulation to help people overcome the fear of spiders. Is that reality or virtual reality?
Oh, virtual reality.
Your company is developing a simulation to help people manage their anxiety. Is that reality or virtual reality?
Virtual reality.
Your company is developing a simulation to help people learn how to cook. Is this a reality or virtual reality?
Reality, for sure.
All right. And then the last one, simple. Your company is developing a simulation to help people practice public speaking. Is this reality or virtual reality?
Ooh, reality. Reality.
All right. Good job. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right, y'all. So this week's question or challenge, it's just I'm asking you, what is your take on it? We didn't win over all this stuff, and I want you to tell me what is your take on virtual reality and mental health. Remember, make sure y'all participate because we get winners every month. First winner wins $10, second winner wins 15, third wins $25. Remember, all you have to do is participate in the weekly questions or challenges, tag me and on in my story, and then boom, you're gonna get entered into the drawing. All right, so we covered a lot today. Conversation was great. I learned a lot. I love when I learn stuff on the fly like this. I'm sure my facial expression when I look back, I can see I'm like, oh, really? I didn't know that. So anything you want to tell the people or add in before you go about you or just about VR or anything else?
Yeah. So on IG, you can find me at Terrance Williams VR. I believe everyone is capable of success and a happy life, as long as you put in the work and believe in yourself, and even take resources to even get there. It doesn't matter where you are. It's all that matters is that you win at the end of the day. And I truly believe in that, and I wish the best for everybody's mental health, because I think having a strong physical health is just as important as having a strong mental health for sure. And I do have one question for you, because I have this question I got to ask on my IG today. So I need your help real quick. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is a little off topic, but real quick, why is it that when women become single, they pick up masculine roles, but when a man becomes single, he doesn't pick up feminine roles? Is it because that masculinity is more linked to survival? And if that's the case, why is masculinity deemed as bad or toxic?
So first part, I think that they do it because, like you said, masculinity. You do it's synonymous with survival, and because femininity in most cases, which is supposed to be, it's deemed as weak, or and a lot of those. The society. Steve Harvey wasn't the first person that started, but I remember he was the big push with the act like a lady, think like a man. So I think that the society we live in now, where gender roles is kind of all over the place,
Yeah.
and I think that's the part of that where now everybody's like, well, I'm gonna be my own man, and it's like a ploy to like make them feel better, but in reality, you really sad, and you like trying to like act like do all that. And what was the second part?
Is that it was about just if masculinity is rooted into survival, because like I said, women do pick up more masculine traits when they are single, but men don't pick up feminine traits. So if that's the case, then why is masculinity just deemed as toxic or bad if it is rooted more so into survival?
Well, I think it's not. Remember, it's like too salt is good on your food. Too much salt is a problem. So
Yeah,
I think that it's just too much masculinity, and you see them head honchos at
yeah,
the gyms, and just in general, the Larry the Lobsters. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with lifting weights and getting big, but they every pose.
yeah.
It's like you doing a lot. So I think with anything, it's too much of it.
Okay, I got
And even with like how they used to say men was in touch with their feminine side when they used to get the manicures, pedicures, and self-care. Now, again, in the same breath, most women don't want a feminine man, because it's like, of course, it's like, and same with dudes, you don't want no super masculine women. Again, people have their fetishes these days. We ain't gonna get into that.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But you typically want a woman that got, if she had too much masculine, it's kind of like,
It's too much. Yeah.
and then it's vice versa with the women. So it's just like,
I know we gotta go, but I blame a lot of that on music too, because it's a lot of
ain't no
yeah,
think it is.
yeah, yeah. And that goes with social and virtually and all that stuff as well. So
Yeah, y'all. And now they're gonna be doing virtual concerts, and they're gonna be
oh yeah.
playing
I
their
was at a 2K
lullabies.
concert in the metaverse like a year ago.
They're gonna be doing their lullabies for y'all, and y'all just gonna be out of it, and
Yep.
it's not gonna be good. But all right, y'all. We had a good talk today. I'm definitely gonna keep in touch with him, because yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. But as always, y'all, tune in next week. I may or may not be by myself. I haven't decided yet. But PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are, and make your mind up. Don't let it make you.